Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to our treehouse, Corina.
Oh my goodness. Welcome to our treehouse, my friend Joe.
Thank
And
you.
welcome to everybody who is watching us on YouTube Live in this very moment, or will be watching this or hearing our voices in the ether at later moments.
Yeah, we are here. It is April. How are we? How are we?
How is the we? We
Well,
are especially we right now because Joe and I have been in a week of art retreat in which we are spending, I don't know, sometimes 5-hour days, sometimes 10-hour days, really trying to bust out some very exciting new things. But that means we are tired.
tired.
But should we check in and
We
ask
are
each other?
tired.
Joe, tell me about
Well,
your flavor of tired.
for the sake of healthy differentiation, do you want to tell me about the unique quality of your exhaustion, and then I'll tell you about the unique
Are you
quality
ready
of my
for it?
exhaustion,
Yes,
or
yes.
anything else you want to say?
Definitely. I don't know if my exhaustion is necessarily unique, but it is mine. I as soon as you asked it that way, I was like, I'm sure a lot of people listening are exhausted. I think there's a universal exhaustion that we can all tap into if we want to, like the way that what might in the past have thought, oh, I can like tap into this universal love or this universal like light or whatever. Like that exhaustion is also available for us. So I just if you're somehow not exhausted enough, like it's here for you. Like we've got you. Like you can come over.
And maybe once you're tapped into the universal exhaustion, you might actually rest.
That's the dream, right? You want to tell me about the unique or universal aspects of your own exhaustion, or anything else you want to tell me about?
So
How
you just told me that your exhaustion is actually universal, but it's yours. You're just having your own personal experience of universal exhaustion.
Yeah, it's like how people think that they own land, but they don't. It's like
Sure. Yeah, no. I'm tracking.
yeah.
Great. It's great. What is my exhaustion like? Yeah, again, unique is maybe the wrong word, but it definitely feels like it has a quality of like I'm familiar that the parts of me that are exhausted are the parts of me that are often exhausted, and that there are other parts of me that have yet to get the opportunity to even get exhausted.
Oh, it'll be so exciting.
And it'll be really exciting, not exhausting.
Hello, welcome to our incredibly giddy, slap happy, exhausted, but happy to be here. April.
Very happy to be here.
And
Where is here? Let's talk about April. Let's talk about where we are. Does that
let's
work?
see where we are. Joe, do you
Okay.
want to tell us where we are in the spell poem of the year so far?
I'm so excited to, particularly because, one moment, if you are here with us right now, we'd very much like to know that you're here, if you're here, and if you're tired or not. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to recite the poem Spell of the Year so far because we've finally made it to the part where the stanza closes, and there's some satisfaction in it for me. So it goes, beside time we make a circle, behind the mind we find a home, within the edge we clear a hollow, to sing the future not yet known. So that's why we've been doing all this stuff. And we thought that like in a way to honor the hi Amanda, hi Andrea. Oh, not tired and pleasantly tired. That's so lovely. We thought that a way to honor the improvisational nature of this spell, which is really deeply associated to the improvisational nature of our creative collaboration, that we've each come up with questions for the other, and the other one has no idea what that question is. And so we're going to be surprising each other with on the spot question answering, which I'm very excited about. Do you want to just do that, Corina?
Let's jump into it. Let's not try to gracefully segue. Let's just like awkwardly segue. Yes, here we go.
Oh.
So, Jo.
Corina, my sister.
My sister, Jo. The image for this month is the one that's on the cover of the calendar. It is also the image you might be familiar with for all of the extra bonus material we make for our Patreon supporters and this particular treehouse. It is the crow in the teacup, surrounded by butterflies against that kind of terracotta wall. And what I wanted to ask you, my sister, is when you look at this image, what do you think is happening here?
Can I look at it in my head for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind is like whoever is in charge has left. And whether or not these lovely creatures were already there and they're behaving differently because whoever's in charge has left, or the person has left and they've left the window open and they've left the door open, and now a space that had been managed in a certain way is being experienced in a completely different way, and in a way where the beings that are now here either don't know or just don't give a fuck what these things are for, right? Like teacup, that looks like a lovely thing to stand in, right? And then the butterflies are like, man, when you stand in that teacup, you create this sort of center focal point that just makes us want to like flutter around you and see what that feels like. I mean, it feels to me like a moment of improvisation in an environment where the whole idea of authority has dissolved and disappeared.
I'm so glad I asked you that.
Yeah. Do you want to chat a little bit about what I said before I ask you about my question for you?
Yeah. I mean, I love that idea. I love that image. It makes, as soon as you said it, it made total sense to me. I'm like, oh, that is what happened. Someone left a window open and everybody got in, and it's a party.
Mm-hmm.
But I hadn't thought of it that way before.
I hadn't either.
Yeah. And, as we like to do, I also want to leave it open for anyone at home, anyone who has other stories for this image, like, please, keep them, tell us, if you want to get in touch and be like, I think this is what's happening in this image.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that. And I think I actually have one follow-up question for you, if you don't mind.
I love questions.
How does it feel to be in this image? If you are one of the things happening, like if you are the crow or the teacup or one of the butterflies or any piece of it, like how does it feel to be there? Maybe which one are you and how does it feel? Sorry, I'm giving you 2 bonus questions.
I never mind. I don't mind that at all. I mean, my immediate association is the feeling that I have from experiences with improvisation where something I had no idea about is happening and is so much fun and is working in ways I don't even understand. And I know that it's not going to last in some way, like that we are on a particular current together. And the moment when that wind shifts is just going to be the moment that wind shifts. And, and I don't know that, but that doesn't in any way take away how much it matters that we had that moment. or
Hmm.
that the wind did that thing with us, that we were a part of that thing that was so like, oh, we just did that thing. Did you even know we could have done that thing? Like, I didn't know we could have done that thing. And then it goes somewhere else because they're like, because that's the nature of it, you know?
Yeah, what you just said reminded me of the beginnings of photography, actually, because this image is really informed by the existence of photography. I'm going to get really nerdy about art history for a second.
Are we doing camera
Uh,
lucida stuff
yeah,
or no? Yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking about camera lucida. I'm thinking about this snapshotting where we get to see these butterflies who move in a way that's really quick for the human eye, still, but they're still in a way that is clearly that they're in motion. And so it's this like stillness in motion and the chaoticness of it that speaks to the sense of like, oh, we have managed to freeze time for a very brief sliver, this really like crystalline moment,
Just a
which
frame.
exactly, just like one frame. And the photography's been around long enough now and is so prevalent that I don't think we often think about what it means in relationship to time. But because this is a spell about time, we're singing a future not yet known, I'm really struck by the frozenness of time in it just now, as you're talking about that.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I think I can work that as a segue into my question for you.
Great. Let's show everyone how we do it. Work it into a segue.
I'm going to work it into a segue. So imagine that frame, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then imagine, no, I'm going to make this real weird. I'm going to like try to improv a transition. I'm going to just see how it goes. But like,
I mean, let's see.
Let's think about the future and the way that we think, like right now, the way that we think about the future is often using images from the past. Like you look into the future and you think, I'm going to be underslept. I'm going to be upset that it's hot out. I'm going to be excited when that mail comes. I'm going to not be excited to be on an airplane, right? Like,
you're talking about me.
I am talking about you.
That is exactly what I'm predicting in my future. How did you know?
And so imagine that frame, and then imagine a future that is actually not yet known. Imagine that frame goes completely black.
Mm-hmm.
If it starts actually singing to you, I don't know if it's going to sing to you. I don't know if you're going to sing to it, but like what actually starts to emerge out of the darkness of the unknown for you? If you look into the future and it's actually unknown, what are some of the first things that you actually can glimpse?
Oh my God, I hate this question. You gave me the hardest possible question. I was like, look at the picture. How does it feel to be in the picture? And you're like, Corina, look into the blankness of an unseen picture and describe it to me.
No.
Okay, reframe your question. Maybe I didn't understand.
Let me know what materializes out of it. Let me know just what you start to see after it goes black. Just give it a shot. Just give it a shot, and then tell me no if you don't want to do it.
So for context, for everybody joining us right now, Joe and I just had a long conversation before we got live, kind of about like how our process is feeling and how it feels to be holding all the different pieces of our creative collaboration and our business and this fairly new project, and like how it feels to be doing this together and what we want to be creating as a container for each other and for you. And one of the things that I voiced in that processing talk before we got on is that there is something about trying to tap into the place where the visions come from and express them that feels incredibly exhausting to me right now. It is, I love all of my jobs. I'm an astrologer, I'm an artist, but like so much of the work that we do is about how do we go to that place where the vision comes from? How do we go to that place where the intuition is strong or where we are open to receive the things that are coming through? And then there's a certain kind of digesting and translating that happens before we offer anything to the world. And I think in this particular question, what I'm going to answer with is not what I see right now, but what I saw earlier when you and I were both in trance before we got on the call.
Great.
Which was, like if you close your eyes and you're going into trance, and for me, my trances are very visual. I know other people, it might be more conversational or more ideas or other things pop up. But for me, it's almost like, you're watching a movie and it starts in darkness. And for me, the first thing that came to me after the darkness of just eyes closed, breath, going into trance, was both the sight and the smell of like resinous fir needles, as though I was looking at a forest floor, and they were emerging kind of slowly as my eyes adjusted to the light. So I do have an answer for you, but I needed to complain about it before.
I mean, so that was perfect. And I spent most of my time in my meditative contemplative trance process stressing out about asking you a really good question. and what's funny is that when it started, I think I was noticing that I had this sort of like younger sister like thing where I was like, how can I ask them a question that like is so relaxing to answer? And then I got really stressed out trying to figure out what that just right question was. And I was like, I think I need to let go of that and just see like what comes. And what came was this like black screen, this black screen in the sense of like, what is, in a way, what is our relationship with the images that come out of nothing, that images that come out of a place where we are not predicting. It's not a predictive text, thing, and so you said the smell and sight of resinous fir needles, right? What does that feel like?
Oh, it's incredibly nice. It's one of my favorite things in the world, honestly. And I also just want to say, back into our like sister dynamic, one of the things that I love about our collaboration is that you challenge me and
same.
Yeah. And that we have a fair bit of conflict as we work together. And we have found ways to really respect and trust that our relationship can hold conflict, our relationship can hold challenge, and that often each of us just needs to kind of be like, oh my God, fuck you, why would you ever? And then like be with that resistance for a while and then trust, okay, let me go into it. And then there's something really valuable there. So I want to be like, I hate that question. And it did give me a chance to share the thing that I wanted to share, which is, oh my God, the smell of resinous fir is the most comforting, like inspiring smell I can think of in the whole world. Like not like pine sol, but like you are in the forest and you can like smell the sap dripping. Like you like have your face up against a trunk of a tree that's got some sap dripping, like that kind of feeling.
That feeling is like, to me, it's sort of the embodied experience of like the world being full of medicine in a way, or just like, or I mean, medicine, but also like that. I don't even know what's that word? Like if let's say that you need something, but it's not because you're broken, but you still need it. Like instead of bringing medicine to like a sickness or an ailment or something, is it just like,
I mean, just pleasure.
Oh, right. That's what it is.
What is that thing that we do sometimes, but not because we're sick? Yeah. Just enjoying the sensual world.
Yes. I think that that is one of the most pleasurable experiences, one of the most simple pleasurable experiences is that smell.
So my sister,
Mm-hmm.
ordinarily when we have like when we did our podcast for a few years, and as we've kind of been trying to figure out the format of this live stream, we check in about astrology a little bit. And I just want to briefly say that this is eclipse season, and I have done a podcast about it. So there's a podcast called Time Witchery, and I'm going to put the link into the chat. Can I do that here?
You can. Yeah. I also just want to say that, yeah,
Oh yeah, nice.
when the
Yes, Andrea,
when
that's
like the temperature
Mhm.
changes, like what Andrea's saying, like
Yes.
when the temperature changes and then the light quality changes and then the smell changes, like you are for sure alive in a body on this earth, and no question about it when that is happening. I can get off the computer and go outside.
Totally. Joe, I think because you're host and I'm guest right now, I don't think I can put this link up, but we'll put it up on Instagram and on my Patreon. So like, if you're listening to this later on any of the services,
Okay.
We'll have the link in the show notes.
Yeah.
For the podcast about the eclipses. But briefly, I just want to say, like, the absolute briefest thing I can say about eclipse season is that it's a really good time to not know what you're doing, to be open to surprises, and to just stay calm and grounded around it, not to freak yourself out too much.
That's lovely. Mm-hmm. Speaking of staying calm and grounded and not freaking out too much around the unknown and what we don't know what's going on, that seems like a lovely segue too. In true fashion, like really honoring the nature of this spell and the nature of our work together, I think that our conversation before this Treehouse made it clear that we need to go into the next month or months really having no idea if we're going to do this again.
Uh-huh.
I mean, knowing very clearly that we will show up on YouTube Live again many times this year, but not really knowing if it's going to be next month to talk about the calendar or if it's going to be in 6 weeks to talk about something else, or really just there's information coming from various directions, and our shoulders dropped and our joy returned when we thought about really having permission to be improvising and not committing to a script and not committing to a schedule and not committing to like I want to be able to come in when the person who's in charge has left and just see what happens. I don't want to pretend to be the person in charge and be like, we're going to do this at this time, at this space, because we have a lot of that going on. We got a lot of deadlines going on. We got a lot of stuff going on. And I think we want to keep this alive and feeling good. Do you want to say more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I would add to that is that we're currently in a season of making things. Like we're making a lot of things for
what are we making?
We're making next year's calendar, which we have a title and a cover image for, How the Light Gets In. And we are also putting the finishing touches on an upcoming oracle deck called Wild Chorus. We're writing the guidebook right now. We got the images all laid out. We got some test decks in the works. And right now we're finishing the guidebook. So
it might be worth saying that we are going to be launching a Kickstarter later.
Yeah, it'll be a few months still.
At the end of the summer.
Mm-hmm. But there's so much in the works creatively that I think we kind of need to like introvert and be like, in that bubble of making before we have a lot of like external, hello, everyone, let's talk about all the things, which I'm appreciate. Like, we started doing podcasts because the calendar messages were really pushing on us to be incorporating sound and story more and more. And this calendar is far less of a top than our previous two calendars. Like this calendar is really just like, I don't know, see what happens. Like,
yeah, this calendar is very much like when you are there, what do you know?
mm-hmm.
And when you're in this space, what do you know? Like it's kind of like a what's happening now, what's happening now. And what's happening now is that we are giving ourselves permission to like go dark for a little bit.
Totally.
No,
I have a lot more to say and a lot more to share in the future, but we don't know when that will be yet.
Yeah.
We're not unknown. Nope,
and
not yet known.
Little, there's even a little spoiler there that we're going into the dark at maybe just the right time for May.
It's true. Those of you who have peeked ahead to May's spell will know what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. But we're not, I don't think we're not vanishing. We're not pulling like a Bilbo Baggins or anything. Like,
we'll be back.
Just coming back when the wind is there, when the freshness is there again, right?
Yeah, the wind and the freshness. That's how
when we're feeling it. When we're feeling it. Totally. And like, I don't think you get to feel it if you just know you have to do it. I mean, you can, but
I have so much to say about deadlines. All right. Thank you, Andrea and Amanda and anyone else who's here.
So much love to you guys.
And we appreciate being in this sweet little treehouse container with you all. And we're going to come back at some point.
And we'll let you know about it.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone.